Um, Yula, given your HR background, let's talk about trends. We heard a lot about conscious quitting in the last few weeks, but what is the difference with quiet quitting?
Great question. Last year, quiet quitting was all over the news. We heard a lot about it, and it wasn't so much about employees leaving the organization, it was much more about disengaging with the organization. Just doing what you were asked to do and nothing more, right? And it was a counter to toxic work cultures, long hours, but at the same time the concept was heavily debated because this was a phenomenon in the US. We didn't see it that much in Europe, but at the same time there was some learning coming out of it because especially when people were feeling that they were doing so-called bullshit jobs, they were actually searching for the value of their role, right? What's the value that they were bringing?
So, but that is the quiet quitting.
Yeah, that's
what is then the conscious quitting?
Well, the conscious quitting is much more recent. This is actually about people leaving the organization, and it's adding to it. It's taking it a step further. It describes the phenomenon of leaving organizations and bosses that lead on short-term goals. Yeah, exactly. On serving just shareholders for financial gain, many times at the cost of climate and society. So here, you also find the search for value, but in this case it's the value of the ecosystem, climate, value for shareholders, but short and long term.
You mentioned climate, you could also call it climate quitting instead.
Yeah, that's a great insight. Maybe we should call it climate insight. It's actually funny because the conscious quitting concept was developed by Paul Polman and team, and Paul Polman is the former CEO of Unilever, bit of a sustainability guru there as well. And he did a employee barometer study showing that 50% consciously quits when leadership is not ambitious enough on climate goals. Now that is combined usually with organizations where you find low moral and ethical norms. So it's not just climate, but it's a big element of it.
But 50% is an awful lot. Where has the study been done?
Yeah, that's true. So this was a study with 4,000 employees, mainly in the US and the UK. So here you could also say again, maybe not that relevant in Germany, Belgium or the Netherlands. But LinkedIn jumped on it. And they did a survey as well. And they confirmed not the 50%, but 37%. So still a huge number there linked to ESG norms.
And so what can organizations do to prevent talent consciously quitting? Is it all about purpose?
Yeah, I think purpose, it is about purpose if you follow the research. It can't be greenwashing though. So we have to be careful there, I think, as well. Research has clearly shown that leaders need to be ambitious on climate goals. And we know, and we have a belief that doesn't only stop talent from leaving the organization, but if those leaders are ambitious on climate goals, it can also be a talent magnet. It can also attract talent into the organization. So I think if organizations haven't done so yet, it's never too late to do a bit of work on purpose, to build your path towards it. Lucia, you actually do a lot of work with organizations on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We build a brand passport with them, describing their identity, saying what their purpose is, also their values, for example, is in there. Yeah, that's very important.
You mentioned values, and this is nice because it's about value. So the role you play in an organization, but also the role the organization plays on climate, on society. But it's also about values, how we actually do business. Yeah. And I think that value and values combined gives engagement.
Yeah. Value, values, engagement, it always comes down to that same asset, people.
Yeah. It's nice that you mentioned that. I just picked up a great quote. You can't grow your business. You can only grow people, right? The rest is just dead weight on your P&L, your assets, your buildings, your patents. Yeah, so investing in your people is what it's all about.
Great quote. Great insights. Thanks.
Thanks.